CPS, Child Protective Services. A child protective service worker tells a 14-year-old girl that was in their custody that she should become a prostitute. Now, the little girl was telling the protective service worker that she doesn't have any food. The girl was already in CPS custody, and when she was in, while these girls are in, or boys are in CPS custody, they put them in hotels. So the little girl said, "I'm hungry. I got no food to eat." So the CPS worker said, "You know what? You should start hoeing. Yeah, go lay down with strange grown-ass men for money, and then you'll be able to eat. Go expose your body to any and every disease out there that's sexually transmitted. Go out there and perform one of the most dangerous jobs on the planet. Go out there and possibly be, unalived. Go out there and completely demean yourself. Give away your whole soul for a sandwich. This is my best advice to you." Well, once it got out, well, here's the thing. The little girl had heard this from the CPS worker so much that, for one, she alarmed her mother. And then she said, "I'm going to record her." So she recorded the whole conversation, because the CPS worker didn't just say this to her once. She kept saying it to her. Now, after this kind of got out, what happened is the mother, of course, went to CPS, why is this happening, so on and so forth. Well, the head of CPS, took a train, plane, and automobile and came to see the mother and apologized to the mother to her face. And one of the people who were reporting it said, "I never seen the CPS, the head of CPS, do this to anybody." And then the mother says, "I don't believe that the apology was genuine." And neither did anybody else. And then they said the person who did this, the CPS worker, was a branch of the CPS. They weren't actually a CPS worker. They were like a contractor or something. It doesn't matter. They were working under the guise of CPS, and you employed them for whatever time. You knew who this person was. Now, this brings us to the reality that CPS is pimping your children. That's what's going on. And this isn't the first time, and it won't be the last. CPS is part of the government. The government has a lot of explaining to do when it comes to children. They're telling us one thing and doing the total opposite. There are people who have come into this country who have not been found. There are the people who came into the country and walked into the country, basically. We still don't know where all those kids are. Those kids are unregistered, meaning nobody's going to be looking for them. Their parents from whatever country they walked here from, they're not going to be, what are they going to do? They have no documents. They're not doing anything. What are they going to do? How much fuss are they going to put up before the government says, "You know what? Say something else, and we're sending you right back to where you came from. Your kid is gone. Your daughter, your son, they're gone, and that's it. Now you can go back to the war zone you came from, or you can stay here and, sell whatever you're going to sell on the side of the road." So this whole thing with the government and listen, I used to work for the government. I used to work for CPS. Yeah, I was an operator. I was a contract worker. I was the operator. I was the first point of contact. When you called CPS, you talked to me. I was the operator for 1, 2, 3 floors. Everything has changed now. That was almost 20 years ago, but I was the voice you spoke to. So I listened to crying mothers. I listened to. I wasn't a mediator, but a lot of time that's the position I fell into. So the social worker would talk to me, not about the child's case, but whether they can talk to the person who's online or not. I'd switch them over to them. I can't talk to them right now. The person is out. Blah blah blah. And because that person couldn't talk to them at that point, guess who they wanted? Guess who they had to talk to? Me. So my switchboard would be lighting up while this mother is crying to me about seeing her children. So it's a hard road to toe. But nonetheless, I just wanted to say that this is going to get a lot worse. And that child has probably shined the light on an age old practice of trafficking. I bet a dime to a dollar that CPS is trafficking your children. And the government knows about it and they're behind it. And um, your caseworkers are not to be trusted. Now we know that CPS is sketchy because a CPS worker can come into your house and bring the police and snatch your child out of the house for an illegitimate reason. And then you have to go to the court system just to fight to get your child back. We know that a CPS worker can make a false claim, and or somebody can make a false claim of what you did, mother and father, both in the home, properly raising a child in the way the child's supposed to be raised, but one false accusation from a teacher, from another child at school, from a neighbor, from somebody who saw you in the supermarket. Any false accusation can be made, and CPS is coming to see you. They have to investigate. And then that CPS worker goes by a bunch of rules that you don't know about. And then, they remove your child for the child's safety. And it's not all the time for the child's safety. It's not. Now, of course, CPS has done a lot of good. There's a lot of children that need to be, taken out of homes, unfortunately. But there is always the value of the child. We know that a 14-year-old girl is highly valued when it comes to trafficking. That's just the truth. We know this is the truth, and we can cover it up. We can close our eyes to it all we want. But a 14-year-old girl is valued in the criminal enterprise. The criminal enterprise isn't some sketchy dudes that came across some bridge and into our country. No, they're the people wearing the suit and ties who are making the rules. Once again, I used to work for CPS. I used to work for the government also. I know I'm just some YouTuber, but I'm a YouTuber who has a lot of history when it comes to, the government. I used to work for the Ohio House of Representatives. Okay? I also work for ODJFS. All right? Ohio Family Job Center, or whatever the acronym is. I was there when Taft took $20 million. Yeah. Look, I was there when a lot of criminal stuff happened. And all they gave him was a slap on the wrist, told him to go home. $20 million the governor took, gave him a slap on the wrist. Listen, there's some crooked stuff going on. And these old men are going to get what they want. They're going to get it at your expense. A lot of you parents don't know this, because you think that these entities are all good. You don't think there's some type of trafficker that are in these government entities. And I'm telling you right now that there are. The person who told that little girl to go and be a prostitute was probably telling her to listen. It's called grooming. And listen, a lot of y'all always think that it's a man who's out there telling these 14-year-old girls to do this. This was a woman. And it was a black woman. This was a woman. A lot of times, these people who are trafficking are women because girls trust women. All right, nobody wants to talk about this. Nobody wants to talk about it. It's not sexy. No pun intended. Nobody wants to talk about this. But when it happens to your family, no. What happens to your perfect family? Your nuclear family? Your Christian family? Your family of 2.5 kids? Your family of mom, dad, 13, 14-year-old son, his 9-year-old brother, and their 5-year-old sister. The 14-year-old boy gets taken out of the house because I don't know. He was outside playing ball with his brother, threw the ball into the street, accidentally, almost hit a car. Some guy jumps out, fussing, blah, blah, blah. 14-year-old says, I'm sorry, yada, yada, yada. I want to talk to your parents. Parents come out, what's the deal? Your kid almost hit my car with it. Hits the ball. It's in the neighborhood, it happens. Blah, blah, blah. He sees your address. Finds out what your name is. He looks at your son. He makes a phone call. It's not a special phone call. It's not a special phone. He calls CPS. That's the beginning of the end. CPS has to come out and investigate. He didn't call the police. He called CPS because he wants to cause you and that kid problems. CPS comes out and it's a total false alarm, a total lie. You tell them exactly what happens. They take your son and separate you from your son with police in tow, and they start talking to that boy. And they start asking him questions like, has your parents ever hit you? Has your parents ever cursed around you? Have your parents ever had sex around you? Have your parents ever said anything sexual to you? And this whole litany of things that a 14-year-old is not even supposed to hear. And even though the kid will say no, 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 even if he hesitates once, that CPS worker can go, you know what? I think something's not right here. So we're going to go ahead and put your son in the CPS. We're going to put him in the program. And you're like, what the hell? And the police standing right there, so you can't do nothing but get loud because they dare you. And then boom, your son is in the program. He's living in a hotel, hungry. He misses his brother, misses his sister, misses his life. He's not going to the same school. You can't talk to him except once a week, and you have to go through CPS and the court system just to do that. And then some woman who's supposed to be a CPS worker comes to him, and he's saying, listen, the conditions here in this hotel are just crazy. I don't belong here. My parents did nothing. I'm totally okay. No, we think that you need to be separated from until we investigate and find out that your parents are, who they say they are, and that you're okay. But that's up to us, meaning we're in control of your life right now. And then they say, well, you're hungry, or you don't have soap, or, your shoes are getting worn out. Maybe you should do this. Because because there's only so much money allocated to these kids for them to eat them. You think, well, they're getting 3 hots in a cot, they'll be okay. It's a 14-year-old boy. He eats every day, all day. That kid's going to be hungry, especially if it's a big kid. And it was an active kid. This kid was playing in basketball, whatever. The CPS can easily say, hey, why don't you go out and sell, go sell drugs, make some money. There's no surprise here. And I'm just telling you guys, this thing is going to blow up. There's going to be more and more people saying the same thing about their children and how a CPS worker has tried to get them into something that they shouldn't be, and or a CPS worker has actually done something to them that they should not have done. Hey, you guys don't want to talk to me? It's fine.